When you're the only one left who remembers, memories can start to feel heavy. Not painful in a loud way, just heavy enough to sit quietly in your chest. You remember moments that no one else brings up anymore. Places, inside jokes, shared seasons of life that seem to exist only in you now. And sometimes the loneliness isn't about missing people. It's about being the last one who remembers how things used to be. You don't talk about it much, not because it doesn't matter, but because there's no obvious place to put it. Memories feel heavier when you're the only one still carrying them. If you've ever felt alone inside your own history, this isn't sentimentality. It's what happens when a long life keeps living inside you, even after the witnesses are gone. And this conversation is for that quiet wait. When you're the only one left who remembers, memories can start to feel heavy. Not painful in a loud way, just heavy enough to sit quietly in your chest. You remember moments that no one else brings up anymore. Places, inside jokes, shared seasons of life that seem to exist only in you now. And sometimes the loneliness isn't about missing people. It's about being the last one who remembers how things used to be. You don't talk about it much, not because it doesn't matter, but because there's no obvious place to put it. Memories feel heavier when you're the only one still carrying them. If you've ever felt alone inside your own history, this isn't sentimentality. It's what happens when a long life keeps living inside you, even after the witnesses are gone. And this conversation is for that quiet wait. 2. When stories lose their listeners. There was a time when your stories had a place to land. You could begin a sentence and someone would already know who you were talking about. They would smile before you reached the ending. Back then, you didn't need to explain context. You were understood mid-memory. Stories feel loneliest when there's no one left who recognizes them. Now, you hesitate before speaking. You wonder if the story will make sense, if the names will mean anything, if the moment matters to anyone but you. So, you stop yourself. You tell the shorter version, or you don't tell it at all. Not because the memory faded, but because the listener did. And that's a quiet loss. Because stories are not just information. They are how we confirm that our lives happened, that we were there, that someone else remembers it too. When stories lose their listeners, they don't disappear. They stay inside you, waiting. Waiting for a pause in conversation. Waiting for a question that doesn't come. And in that waiting, a gentle sadness forms. Not because you want attention, but because part of your life has no audience anymore. If you've felt that silence, it doesn't mean your stories no longer matter. It means the people who once shared them are no longer here to say, I remember that. 3. The ache of unshared memories. Some memories don't hurt because they are sad. They hurt because they are unshared. You carry moments that shaped you. Not dramatic ones, just real ones. Small routines, private jokes, ordinary days that meant everything to someone once. Memories ache when they have nowhere to be spoken. You think of them unexpectedly, while folding laundry, while driving, while lying awake at night, and there's a brief impulse to tell someone. Then it passes, because who would understand why this moment matters? So the memory stays where it is, inside you, not fading at all, just waiting. That waiting can feel heavy, not because you're stuck in the past, but because the memory still feels alive. It hasn't completed its journey. Memories want movement. They want to be named, to be witnessed. When they aren't, they turn inward. And that inward turning can feel like loneliness. You don't need someone to react strongly. You just need someone to recognize that this moment existed. If you've ever felt that quiet ache, it doesn't mean you're holding on too tightly. It means your heart remembers how memory was once shared and still longs for that space. And that longing is deeply human. 4. Missing those who knew your past. There are people who knew versions of you that no one else does. They knew your younger voice, your earlier fears, the way you laughed then. With them, you didn't have to explain where you came from. They already knew. Losing people who knew your past can feel like losing parts of yourself. When they're gone, something subtle happens. You're still here. Still yourself. But fewer people remember how you became this person. No one left who can say, "You've always been this way." Or, "I remember when that started." So you carry that history alone. Not just memories of them, but memories of you as you once were. And sometimes you miss them not only for who they were, but for who you were when they were still here. That loss can feel confusing, because it's not just grief, it's disorientation. You're standing in the present, holding a past that no one else can fully see. If you've ever felt that quiet absence, it doesn't mean you're fading. It means your life was layered, it had depth, it was witnessed, and even though those witnesses are gone, the life they knew was real. It mattered, and it still lives inside you, even when no one else can name it anymore. 5. Where memories go when no one asks. When no one asks about your past, your memories don't disappear. They retreat. They move into quiet corners of your day, into moments that don't ask for words. Memories don't fade when they're unasked. They go inward. They show up when you least expect them. In the smell of something familiar, in a song you haven't heard in years, in the way your hands move without thinking. You don't announce them. You don't stop the moment to explain. You let them pass through you silently. Because explaining feels complicated now. Because there's no shared reference point. Because it would take too long to make someone understand why this memory still matters. So your memories become private companions. They sit with you while you do ordinary things. They keep you company in quiet hours. And sometimes that companionship feels comforting. Other times it feels lonely. Because memories were never meant to live only inside one person. They were meant to be exchanged, to be recognized, to be held together. If you've noticed your memories growing quieter, it's not because they lost their meaning. It's because they no longer have an obvious place to be received, and so they settle where they can, inside you, not to haunt you, but to remind you that your life had texture and moments worth remembering even when no one else asks anymore. 6. Honoring your life quietly. There comes a time when honoring your life becomes a quiet act. Not something announced, not something explained, just something you hold. A life doesn't need witnesses to have been meaningful. You stop trying to make your memories understandable to others. You stop translating your past into stories that fit someone else's attention span. Instead, you let your memories exist without needing approval. You remember because it mattered to you, because it shaped you, because it was real. This kind of honoring doesn't look like pride. It looks like gentleness. You allow yourself to revisit moments without rushing through them, without apologizing for their weight. You don't need an audience to validate your life. The fact that you lived it, felt it, carried it, is enough. And in honoring your life quietly, something shifts. The loneliness softens just a little. Not because the memories disappear, but because you stop asking them to go somewhere else. You let them stay as part of you. And that quiet respect for your own history becomes a kind of companionship. Not replacing connection, but steadying you in its absence. A reminder that your life didn't vanish just because fewer people remember it now. 7. Letting memories breathe. Memories don't need to be carried so tightly. They don't need to be locked away or guarded in silence. Memories heal when they're allowed to breathe. Letting memories breathe doesn't mean reliving everything. It means giving them room to exist without pressure. You might speak them out loud when you're alone. You might write them down without worrying who will read them. You might simply sit with them without pushing them away. This isn't holding on. It's releasing the need for them to be witnessed in a specific way. When memories are allowed to breathe, they soften. They become less about loss and more about continuity. They remind you that your life moved through many seasons, and each one mattered. You don't have to share your memories with everyone. You don't have to explain them perfectly. You only need to let them be what they are. proof that you lived, that you loved, that you were changed. And when memories are no longer trapped inside you, they stop weighing so heavily. They settle beside you, not as burdens, but as quiet companions that affirm the truth of your life. Letting them breathe doesn't erase loneliness, but it makes room for something gentler to exist alongside it. 8. Your life was real. If you're carrying memories that no one else remembers anymore, please know this: your life was real. A life doesn't lose its meaning when fewer people remember it. The moments you lived weren't important because someone else can name them now. They were important because you were there. You felt them. You were shaped by them. They became part of who you are. Even if no one asks about them anymore, they still count. You don't need witnesses to validate your past. You don't need an audience to confirm your story. Your memories don't exist to be performed. They exist because your life moved through time, through love, through loss, through change. And that movement mattered. If tonight feels quiet and the memories feel close, you don't have to push them away. You don't have to carry them alone in the dark. Let this space be one place where your life is acknowledged. Not summarized, not rushed, just recognized. You are not the last one holding something meaningless. You are the keeper of a life that was fully lived. And that truth does not disappear just because fewer people remember it with you now.